expectation of winning these games or getting things out of these games changes all the time. We've been part of that before, and that makes them very dangerous. We've played against them many times. They've scored some fantastic tries against us. They've got some really threatening players, and if we don't decide to come out onto the pitch at the weekend and work extremely hard, they're a big threat. What we've got to decide to win is the work rate battle and the hard work battle. That will give us some good foundations that hopefully we can play some good rugby from. But unless we really decide to outwork Newcastle, then it's going to be a pretty tough afternoon.
Are you surprised at the season they've had, bearing in mind how well they did last season?
A little bit, but I think sometimes it's that second or the third season that sometimes can get a little bit tough. Ultimately they did have quite a number of tight, good wins last year, and I think that's probably reversed a little bit, and they've had a number of quite good performances that have probably resulted in tight losses. And actually that's not much of a turnaround. 3 or 4 points per game turnaround, if you're winning or losing tight games, can have a huge effect on your season. That then maybe affects kind of selection and morale and how people feel about the way you're playing. There's so many things that can influence a change in fortune that it's very rarely down to one or two things, and it won't be down purely to them having a good year last year. It won't be because of that. It won't be because they've all taken a breath, because I imagine the whole squad wanted to push on again. It will just be probably down to everybody really committing to playing against them, particularly in this early part of the season, and now we've got to follow suit, and we've got to really commit to playing well against them, and that's got to be our target, is our level of performance this weekend.
In the past we've stood here and scratched our heads at how few players you've lost to international call-ups. How difficult is it now the other way around, as it were?
Well, it's all very positive, isn't it? Whatever pressure we're under from international teams wanting our players is positive pressure. And I think that's the way you've got to approach it. For me, it's great to see extra players involved in what is looks a very successful England team this year. I hope they're going to be involved in a massive game this weekend against Wales. That's fantastic for us. The bigger the games our players can be involved in, the bigger the experiences they gain, the more that suits us when we want to play in big games and we need to drag ourselves through certain situations, and that will all come back to benefit us. Right now, what's important is we get our heads down and we work really hard, and make sure that when the international players come back, that's a boost to a team and a squad that are already playing very well. Because there are positives. The positives are we're getting a group of players getting game time, some of who may not have. That will improve them as well. And I'm never really of the belief that the selection of any team is a hindrance to you. There are always positives there. There are always things you can take out of it. What we have to do is make sure we show the qualities that we're really proud of, and that means we're always moving on. Winning or losing, we're always moving on. We moved on to a degree through the Gloucester game last week because I saw a lot of guys prepared to work very hard. Were we perfect? No. Did we get everything right? Of course we didn't. Otherwise we'd have won the game. But did we have guys stepping in and working extremely hard and who will improve from the experience? Yes, we did. And those are the things we've got to keep focused on as well.
Injury-wise, how are you looking?
Injury-wise, we look pretty good. Don Armand looks like he's come through the small issue he had last week really well, and his wife has given birth, and everything's gone really well there as well. So that's like a double positive for us with Don. The bumps and bruises we picked up during the game don't look too bad, which is another real positive for us. So and we've obviously got Ollie Devoto and Alec Hepburn released by England, so that's an additional back that we didn't have last week in Ollie Devoto as well. So on the whole, we look pretty good. We've trained so far. Wednesday now we trained pretty well. Are we right where we want to be? Maybe not, but that's kind of what happens a little bit. You've got to tough your way through that. We'll wrap things up on Friday, I think, with a real nice energetic team running. I can already feel the lads are ready to play at Sandy Park. We haven't been here for 6 weeks now. It's quite a long time, but I think we're ready to put out a big, energetic and emotional performance, and hopefully that will drive us towards the result we want.
And a couple more signings last weekend, and you're happy with where you are with that side of things?
Yeah, very happy. Mainly because we've kept the core group of players together for another season, and we've got a really good age range. And we're gaining experience. I've just said about those England players. Well, none of them are old England players. They're not England players coming to the end of their careers. They've still got a lot to give, and they're gaining fantastic experiences with England. The players we've got on the field, week in, week out in the Premiership, there's not many of them you'd describe as coming towards the end of their careers. They're gaining experience, they're gaining in the benefit of playing in big games and pressure games week by week. I think that bodes very well for where we want to go in the coming years.
And I suppose it's also a feather in your cap that you've got the likes of Karen Dickey and Jack all signed on again, because they must have been on the radar of other clubs as well, and yet you've not lost any of those top top-notch youngsters that you've brought through yourselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course they are. You know, when you recruit players, you look for, if you've got holes in your squad, frontline holes in your squad, you look to good players around the league. And we've got some very good players playing good rugby and succeeding so far. But at the same time, those guys are kind of, it means a lot to them to play for Exeter. They've been here for a long time. They're here with their friends. They're here with their families. You know, there's a lot of good reasons to stay at Exeter. The biggest reason, though, is that we've got to show them that we're working hard to be successful, because especially all the young players, they've all got international ambitions. They all want to play in big games of rugby at the end of the season. You've kind of got to show them that that's where you want to be as a club, and that if they buy into things, that's where we can be together, and that's very much what's happened with these lads.
Brilliant. Thank you.